Well, good morning and welcome to the weekend live with me, your host, Evan James, guys, here on Glasgow Rangers Nation. Guys, first of all, we'll start off with a massive, before we get on to just talking all things Rangers, we're going to talk a bit of Todd this morning. We've really got to address the elephant in the room in Todd Cantwell. Not that I'm calling Todd an elephant. We're also going to talk about the Cyriel Dessers story as well as this morning. But first of all, I want to say a massive, huge thank you for your phenomenal support over the 18 or so months this channel has been running. We're now up to 1.9 million views. I've got to say, I am absolutely blown away by your support. It's just phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal that people tune in every day, put on the videos, go on to Spotify, listen to the podcast, listen to me talking crap for 40 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it is we talk. There you guys, Mowgli Mug, back again. Guys, morning, everybody. Just Kira in the live chat says hello, Owen and fellow Jers. John Lammy, hi, Kira and Owen and chat. We've got CJ and I saying good morning, and also Stuart as well. Morning, Stuart. John says he would keep Todd. CJ says about Todd, he says, depends on Todd if Big Phil actually plays him. Seems the type of player that needs to play every game to improve. I would agree with you on that one, CJ. Well, look, let's deal with, first of all, let's talk Todd. We'll talk Todd first. We'll get that out of the way, and then we'll talk about Cyriel Dessers and the stories regarding him apparently not travelling Monday to link up with the rest of the squad in Holland for the pre-season tour of Holland, obviously culminating in that game next Saturday, which you can see here on the channel, guys. Morning, Jan. How you doing? Yeah, guys, let's talk Todd. Right, I'm a big fan of Todd. I love Todd. And look, whilst I love Todd, I recognise the lad has weaknesses. I recognise the lad has issues and problems, and isn't always the best player on the pitch, as Stuart says here. Todd, for me, he's a personality. He is a character. He is one of your old school footballers, isn't he? I mean, let's face it. If we went back to the late 80s, early 90s, I think Todd would be the one, wouldn't he? Rather than using social media, would be doing things in the press, would be saying things to interviewers, would be very much kind of, as Gaza was off the pitch. I'm not saying that he's as good as Gaza. Hey, Ian, how you doing, buddy? Thank you very much. I'm not saying that he would be as good as Gaza or as talented as Gaza. But look, he would definitely be a Gaza-style character, wouldn't he? And I think at times these days, football lacks characters. I think footballers are fast becoming machines, aren't they? They're becoming these robots that turn up every Saturday or Sunday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, whenever it is they play, and just do their jobs and kind of get on with it and play good or play bad and then go home, and that's it. And we don't hear anything else of them. And yeah, there's a place for those guys. Of course there is. There's a place for those model professionals in the game. But look, I think the situation is this. I think, we love a character. We love with someone with a bit of just something special about them, a little bit of something extra about them. And I've got to say, one of the things I do love about Todd is the fact that he gets under the Celtic skin, that he winds them up something chronic. I mean, I don't know. I mean, some of you are aware we have TikTok here on Glasgow Rangers Nation. Whenever I put a post about Todd, it just causes the biggest meltdown on the other side of the city you can ever imagine. Barbie, she, princess, just all the insults come out. He proper gets under their skin, doesn't he? And he hates Sutton as well. He goes back at Chris Sutton, which is always funny. He does get under their skin and he does wind them up, and that's one thing I do like about him. But I agree with a lot of what a lot of fans are saying in terms of the fact that the consistency is not always there. There's times when I watch Todd on the field and I love him. I love it. I think he's outstanding. He's brilliant because he'll run at players. He'll drag players in. He'll pass the ball and create space. He can play a killer ball through, around the edge of the box. His little clever no-look passes, his little threaded passes through, open and create goals. I mean, there was one goal, I think it was against Hibs, wasn't it? I think it was last season, where he puts a little no-look pass into Dessers and Dessers actually scores. And it was a brilliant piece of work from Todd. The semi-final at Hampden as well against Hearts, absolutely brilliant the way he picks the ball up, runs at Hearts, commits players, and obviously creates the goal. Again, he can be that, but he can also go missing and just disappear in games and not be the influence that he has the talent and the skill to be. And it's worrying. It is concerning. I mean, I suppose that the other side of the argument is the fact that if he was consistently producing, if he was consistently running at players, beating them, going round them, leaving them for dead, causing all sorts of damage, then maybe he wouldn't be at Rangers anymore. Maybe he would be at one of the top clubs, top like clubs in England, like Arsenal or Chelsea or Manchester United or Manchester City or someone like that, or playing somewhere in Europe. But he does have his weaknesses. He has his flaws, and that's the issue with Todd. CJNI says he's a baller and seems Phil doesn't fancy the stuff. I do think there is an issue there. We'll talk about that in a minute. I can't wait, to be honest. Young, talented lads who ain't going to be afraid to go at teams. Yep, D1, yeah, absolutely. Good morning, Alex. A caged bird can't fly. No, he can't, CJNI. There does seem to be a breakdown in trust between the manager and the player. A couple of examples of that. You've seen... you've seen the whole situation where he was dragged off after half an hour in the Limassol game. There was the end of the cup final thing. There's a few other bits and pieces that have quite clearly gone on. That there perhaps is a little bit of an issue between him and the manager there. So, that is a worrying side of it. Perhaps Phil doesn't... And Phil Clement, don't get me wrong, is a great manager. And I love Phil to bits. But I don't think he suffers fools gladly. I don't think he likes Cantwell's antics. I don't think he likes the way Cantwell behaves at times. I don't think he likes players like that. I don't think he likes those players who express themselves off the field and perhaps don't always behave correctly on the field. I think he likes more the robots. That's why obviously Dujon Sterling. I mean, look, don't get me wrong. I'm not insulting Dujon here. I love Dujon Sterling. He's one of my favourite players at the club at the moment. But he's a robot, isn't he? He wherever you put him on the pitch, he does a job and he just gets on and does it. Yes, he made that great comment about us being shit, which I think was spot on. But overall, he is very robotic, isn't he, in terms of what he does? But yeah, I think there is possibly a breakdown in relationships there between Cantwell and the manager. If it takes Rangers so long to get deals over the line, no wonder half our deals get hijacked. Stuart, yeah, you're very right on that. There is a lot of time where deals are getting hijacked. I mean, yes, we've signed players. Yes, we've pulled in a number of players over this summer already, and that's all positive. That's all massively positive that we've got these players over the line so far. I think it's 5 signings now, isn't it, that we've managed to secure for the club. So look, that's all good stuff. That there's 5 players over the line. I'm missing one. I've come up with Nsiala, Cortez, Igman, Barron. I can't remember who the other one is. Who's the 5th one again? Anyone can help me out in the live chat, please. Obviously, hit me up with that 5th signing. Alex says, much as I like Todd and think we should keep him, but really he needs to concentrate on the football and ditch the social media. Yeah, someone said take the phone off him. Morning, David. How are you doing? Gillian, Algarve. How's the Algarve this morning? Is it nice and warm? It's horrible here, overcast and cold in England. We had summer. It was the other week. Good morning. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe. Thank you, Stephen. And Ciala, got in Ciala. Oh, Diamande, does he count as a 5th permanent signing? Could well be. Well, Conor Barron, we Clement's golden boy, after Barron said in his interview that he doesn't bother with social media. Very, very good. Hefte, thank you, DN1. Thank you. Yes, that's the one I've missed off the list. So we've got 5 over the line so far this summer. So they're the 5 that are over the line this summer. Thank you for that. We will talk a little bit about that as well in a minute. I just want to finish off my little Todd spiel and talking about Todd to start off. This is a great point, Alan Surgeoner. Good. We have got a lot of dead wood and wages sitting, keeping the bench warm. Yeah, we're going to get to that, Alan. We'll talk about that as well. But yeah, Todd, look, I mean, it was interesting, that message yesterday, wasn't it? It was all about for me, it was a kind of accept me for who I am, accept me for what I do, accept me for how I behave, or clear off. Fuck off, basically. I think that was the overwhelming feeling. That was the overwhelming feeling, I think, that came out of what Todd posted yesterday. The kind of, accept me for who I am, and if you don't like me, I don't care. And you know what? I can kind of resonate with that. That's a kind of, feeling that John will get to that as well. That is kind of a feeling that I have as well. Since I had a really bad 2016, 8 years ago, had a really bad issue, mental health issues and stuff. And since that day, I've kind of gone through this kind of, accept me for who I am, or do one. I don't care. I really couldn't care less. I think that's what Todd was kind of getting across. The whole, if you don't like who I am, if you don't like how I play, if you don't like how I conduct myself off the pitch, then get lost. I don't care anymore. I don't care what you think. At the end of the day, I am who I am. If you don't like it, clear off. And I think, look, we've just got to kind of accept Todd for who he is. we've got to, believe that Todd is, Todd is the player that he is. At the moment, we've got a poll running. 65% of you say keep Todd. 35% of you say sell Todd. So yeah, I think that is very much for me. It is it's one, isn't it? It is one. Let's get to some of your comments now before we go on to what we want to talk about next. D1EMO says he's going to ruin the left wing. Jeff Hefte is rapid. He is very quick, D1, isn't he? He's very, very quick. He's a very talented player. Yeah, and that is a possibility. He could use, Hefte is a fullback, but I think he can be used as a wing back. He has been used on the wing. So yeah, I think that's a very strong possibility. Having a bit of coffee. What I'm most gutted about, Owen, is Damian Garcia. Look to play for the. Yeah, I'm gutted about that, Stuart. That would have been a great signing. He looks a very talented young man. I honestly think that he'll spend the next couple of seasons at Penarol, and then we'll see him turning out for one of the Spanish clubs. I think that's a route often travelled by Uruguayan players, isn't it? From Uruguay, from South America to Spain. So I do think that Garcia, we may see him in a Real Madrid, Barcelona, perhaps an Atletico Madrid shirt in the very near future. But I agree with you, Stuart. Yeah, very gutted about the Damian Garcia transfer. Absolutely, just that really disappointed with that one. I think that would have been if we could have got him across the line, I think that would have been amazing. I mean, could you imagine Diamande and Garcia in our midfield? I think that would have been a midfield that would have ruined Celtic. Absolutely ruined them. Guys, obviously 50 of you watching, please smash that like. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, please sub and help us to keep on growing. Any news on Tav? At the moment, nothing. Heart and Hand are saying that they believe that he will not be here once the window closes. The Saudi window opened 2 days ago on the 4th of July. So I think it's still very early days there in terms of the Saudi clubs that allegedly are interested in Tav. I mean, we're looking at the club that Bizgrove's involved with apparently have an interest in Tav. And also Aleti Faki. Calm down. I'm going to do that in a Scouse accent. Yeah, I think, that is a possibility. So at the moment, nothing other than the fact that he is training with Rangers still. He is still very much a Rangers player. I think it's still very much up for debate, John, as to what the future holds for him. It's good. I gutted also, mate. Would have been a good signing. Talented lad. We've been, absolutely agreed. 5 young, hungry, energetic players. Looking forward to seeing them, says David. Yeah, me too, David. And I think one thing, these fans that come out and they criticise and they have a go at all these young players and just signing these young players. I think the thing we've got to remember is we've signed a lot of experienced players in the past. We've signed a lot of championship, journeymen. We've signed a lot of players that have come with a very good reputation and so on and so forth. But in the last 12 years, what have we won? What have we won with those players? 1 league title, 1 Scottish Cup and 1 League Cup. I mean, I'm sorry, but as a guy who grew up watching Rangers in the late 80s and through the 90s and the noughties, this is not acceptable for this club. And I think there's too many fans, modern fans, who kind of think it's acceptable that, if we go close in the league, we win a cup here and there, that's good enough for us. But it's not. It's not good enough for us. The standard at Rangers is you win the league every season. And if you don't win the league every season, then expect to pay with your job. That's kind of the expectation at this club. And that's how it's always been at this club. And I think there's a lot of modern fans that have kind of what I would generate into TAV FC that, are kind of become so lovey with certain players that as long as those players are playing, it doesn't really matter how the team are performing on the pitch. As long as their favourite players are on the pitch, they couldn't give a monkeys about winning trophies or winning cups or winning games or beating Celtic. It's all about as long as James Tavernier's out there or Connor Goldson's out there, they don't care. And I think amongst our fan base, there is an element, a very small element, granted, of Tavernier FC. I think that is a big issue for me. D1 is right. We do need an average age reduction. We have got a very old squad. I think it was 28 at the end of last season. We've also got a massively high wage bill. We've got one of the highest. We've got I think the highest wage bill in Scotland. And the ironic thing, guys, was that the way that our team that lost PSV had a higher wage bill than PSV Eindhoven, who absolutely smashed us. Interesting. Alex, you don't win the league consistently. Penny pinching. We do need to start spending some money. And I think that's a big one for me. I want to come on to talk about that. Cantwell isn't important enough to the team to hold any power of the manager. Buckle down or find another club, says Kevin. Kira loves Todd. There we go. I'm sure you do, Kira. We need to start to spend some cash, says Stuart. Agreed. I read earlier we might be using Ibrox with 3 stands and compo for the season ticket holders, says Alex. That's an interesting one. Alex will look into that story. I wonder if there's any truth in what Keith Weiner said about Rangers takeover soon. Weiner's ex-Aberdeen and Aston Villa CEO. Interesting. I think there does need to be something. Someone asked me yesterday, well, who do you want to run Rangers? Look, I haven't got a glass ball. I don't know. I can't say I want X or Y to take over Rangers. I want the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia to buy Rangers, or I want I want Bill Gates or Jeff Bezos to buy Rangers, because that's just not realistic. But what I do want is whoever runs the club, whoever is the chairman of Rangers, whoever owns our club, and it's our club, it's not their club, it's our club. They are merely trustees running our club. Whoever runs our club, I want them to run it understanding that the fans are important, that they don't take the fans for granted. They don't treat us as some dumb cash cow to get money out of. They treat us with some respect. They keep us in the loop. They talk to us. I mean, when was the last time John Bennett actually talked to the fans? When was that? When was it? When was the? And I mean, I don't mean it as some crappy fans forum that's so stage managed it's untrue. I mean, actually properly went and talked to the fans. When was the last time he did that? Talk to the fans, listen to the fans. And, I don't think our present board do that. And that's what I want. Someone running the club who listens to the fans and, understands the frustrations we have, understands that, that we are an important part of this club that need to be kept in the loop with things. I mean, the whole stadium debacle is a classic example of that for me. This gentleman here, whose name I don't know what it says. Cyriel Cantwell bringing Session, not saying we should, but good debate as a similar players. True, but Session is going to West Ham. I was gutted with the Kabaddi deal when he fallen through. Yeah, that would have been a good one. Tam says Cantwell is a woke pain in the arse. Yeah. Stuart says, Owen, does the Saudi transfer window stay? It does stay open longer, mate. It does, yes, absolutely. Exactly. The McCoist Albert says days. 100% same, John, but I'm hoping to bring Seema in. He's a top player. I agree. I would love to see Seema back. We get Seema for 4 or 5 million, 2-3 seasons. We get him for 15 to 20. I agree with that. We do need to get him in as soon as possible. Here's my copy there. Tam says, the Hairy Jim's invading Somerset's pitch after the 1-1 draw. We're a United Mutants. You want Donald Trump. If he doesn't win the presidential election, you never know. You never know. Stuart Ewan says, well said, Owen, this board are treating us fans and the club as nothing more than a cash cow that needs to change. This is what I'm talking about. 100%. Owen, talk is meaningless without action. The board owner needs to put money in. I agree. The board does need to put money in. Look, let's talk about this. Look, we've brought in these 5 players. Okay, let's bring them up. And, look, Nsiala was free. Cortez is a loan with an option to buy for 4.5 million. We'd have paid an initial fee of about 1.52 million, possibly. Igman was 2.5. Barron is compensation. Hefte, I think, was less than £1 million. So we've basically spent absolutely jack shit so far. I would, if you take off the whole wages situation, the situation where the wages will have come off with those 5 players, and that Lundstrom, Barisic, so on and so forth would have been on big wages. Kimar Roof would have been on big wages. So that would have saved a massive chunk of change. And I think a lot of that will have gone into buying these players, to putting money into the signing on deals, the fees, the initial fees. I'll be very, very surprised if we are paying 2.5 million up front for Igman. I would imagine that's probably £1 million down with 1.5 to pay, or £500,000 down with 2 to pay. I don't think we'll be spending it all in one go. So I don't think we'd have spent at this point for say £5 million. I don't think we'll have spent 5 million at this point. Okay, I think it'll be somewhere closer to 2-3 million at this point. Now, the rest of the money will be paid down the line, and that seems to be the way that clubs are going about it until UEFA close that loophole. There will be a lot of kicking the can down the road when it comes to transfer fees. So I think a lot of that money, that 3, 4, 5 million, whatever it is that we've spent on these players, will have come from those wages being freed up. Because let's face it, Lundstrom was on 20 grand a week. Roof was on about 25 grand a week. Barisic was probably on about 25 grand a week. So there's a lot of money being saved there. So there's all your money for these transfer fees. So my worry is that the stories that are coming out of the club are very much that we have to sell to buy. That if we want to bring in Seema, we want to bring in, I'm not saying we are going to bring him in, but let's say we wanted to bring in Shankland, Domiovsky, we'd have to sell players to raise money to buy the players we need. Now, if you're doing a rebuild, if you're bringing in, and if you are bringing in players, you need to have cash there behind you to go and get these players. And that cannot be solely dependent on selling players, because you've got to find a market for those players. Now, whilst we probably could get 15 million for Butland, we could probably get, a couple of million for Lawrence, a couple of million for Cantwell. The players we really do need to be shifting out, the dead wood that's at this club, the James Taverniers, the Connor Goldsons, the Scott Wrights, the Kieran Dowells, Tom Lawrences of this world, you've got to kind of think, are people going to come in and pay the money for them? And if they are they going to give those players a deal that those players want? When I was reading this morning that Goldson's on 37 grand a week, Tav's on 30 grand a week. Now, realistically, there was talk of Goldson going to Birmingham, of Tav going to Besiktas. Are those clubs going to pay them 37, 40 grand a week? Are they going to pay 30 grand a week to Tav? Realistically, they're not going to do that. Tom Lawrence is on 22 grand a week. Are Ipswich going to pay him 22 grand, or Burnley, or Sheffield United, whoever it was that were interested in him? Ben Davis is on 27 grand a week. Sheffield United, who've just been relegated to the Championship, are apparently interested in him. Are Sheffield United going to pay him 27 grand a week? Probably not. So you've then got the issue of, do the players want to move on, and will they be prepared to move on, or are they going to sit and wait out their contracts here? Because, call me fickle, call me stupid, but if I'm Connor Goldson and I'm sitting here and I'm thinking I've got 2 years left on my contract, I'm getting 37 grand a week, and Birmingham want to sign me and they want to pay me 20 grand a week, I'm going to go, no thanks, because I'm getting 17 grand a week more here. Why would I move? If Davis is getting 27 grand a week at Rangers, and Sheffield United come in and go, well, you can have 10 grand a week at Sheffield United, I'm going to go, well, no, I'm not going to go. I'm not going to move. Why would I? I think that's the issue we've got. Moving on the players we need to move on is going to be hard. And that's not because necessarily we're bad at business at this moment in time. That is because the club has been so badly mismanaged to this point. Who in their right mind 4, 5, 6 years ago thought it was a great idea to give Connor Goldson 37 grand a week when nobody wanted him? There was no competition for his signature. Why pay someone who nobody wants £37,000 a week? It just doesn't make any sense to me. It really doesn't. Stephen Fay, let's go back to your point, Stephen. The kind of money that fans want to spend on players, only Saudi and Americans have that kind of money, in my opinion. You are right, Stephen. The first thing Clement and Jim Radcliffe, who's obviously English, the first thing Clement would do to fix the right side team's target if nothing changes on the right side. Brilliant point, Stuart. This is the point that I keep making to all these people that absolutely slaughter me over the whole Tav thing. The fact that I say that Tav isn't good enough to play for Rangers anymore, that his defence is poor, that if you go back and watch our games from last season, that you see a situation where we are constantly being targeted down that right-hand side all the time. And, you watch goals, Dizer Maida runs past Tav for free. Yeah, the right side totally needs work. I agree with you on that one, Stuart. Look, Coppen is a transfer guru genius. He knows what he's doing. We are blessed. Absolutely, David. I agree. I think Coppen is a very, very, very good director of recruitment. I think he will bring in players. I mean, you look at one of the players that we were supposedly interested in that he identified, Kurab Drouesh, the Moroccan winger. He's now joined PSV Eindhoven. Shit players don't tend to join PSV Eindhoven, which clearly shows that Coppen has an eye for a player. And he's probably following the PSV model because he was obviously ex-PSV. Why do we need to spend massive amounts of money to appease Celtic fans who think we've got no money? No clubs in the world pay a transfer fee all in one go. Very true, William. Where is these experienced players? Any idea who and when? I'm going to say, YouTube user, that the signings will come after the Euros. I think once the Euros are done, then you'll see more movement on the transfer market. I don't think you will see a lot of movement on the transfer market until after the Euros are finished, because I think there's a lot of players who are still with squads in the Euros who clubs are interested in. Clubs are not prepared to sell players or release players until they know that they've got players to come in and replace them. And I think there's a lot of players who are still part of that Euro squad that they want to bring in. We've signed 7 players to... Do we have to sell to buy? We just got 7 players in. William, this is what I'm reading, that we have to sell to buy. I'm just reporting what I've read, that we have to sell to buy. There is no money. Last season, the car salesman hardly spent much time. The players we sold last year nearly covered it. The current wage bill is killing us. Agreed, Pete. The wage bill is ridiculous for the amount of, for the quality of player we have. Our wage bill is ridiculous. It's higher than PSV's. It's higher than Feyenoord's. Now, you can't tell me that PSV and Feyenoord have worse squads than Rangers. That season, yes, I'm point, sorry. D1 says, apparently Scott Wright is off to Sheffield Wednesday. I've heard that as well. Hope so. Absolutely. You can't have a wage cap, Alex, unfortunately, because if you do, you kind of cut back the players you can sign. Plus, Tavi's still rubbing his hands together for his testimonial money. Agreed. Hopefully, CJ, that money will be donated to charity, as most players do. Miovski is a strange one. You would think there would be a good amount of interest in him yet, but I can't remember any. I think, well, apparently Celtic had a bid turned down, Kevin. I love Cantwell, but his attitude kind of stinks. Sterling is more than capable of filling it right back. Agreed, D1. We could play Sterling at right back. I think that's a good thing. The only thing is then, do you take away from other places on the field? If players don't meet expectations within seasons, they could be equivalent of fired. True, but then you've got to pay up their contracts. If Dessers leaves, he will be joining his 9th club in 10 seasons. Does that like signing on fee or what? Nice point, Alan. Nice point. The right side of the team needs a rebuild. Stephen, 100%. Like I said, go back. If you think what I'm talking about is shit, go back and look at what. Go back and look at the goals we concede and where they come from. And a lot of goals we concede come down the right-hand side of our team. I mean, you're right, Tav. He's not the only player on the right side of the club. Exactly. Connor Goldson, right side central defence. Absolutely, 100% agreed. Where else have we got? Oh, we've got to flick on the comments there. Let's go try and find my comments. I am trying to keep up with your comments and talk at the same time. Very tough. Sterling has to be the starting right back next season. Played him all over the park, and he's brilliant. Think how good he will be in his position. Stuart, great point. Absolutely, 100% correct. Grow Scotland, I'm good, buddy. How are you? Not just the Euros, but the Copa America is holding up transfers. Agree, Stuart. Sterling right back, Diamande midfield, McCausland right wing, says D1. Good shout. Cantwell has been a really good player for my FIFA team, says Dio. Well, I'm glad he's been good for your FIFA team, mate. I'm glad he's been good for your FIFA team. That's reassuring to know. Okay, guys, let's talk a little bit of Cyriel Dessers now. Look, I'm going to put a new poll up in the live as well. I'm going to hit up a new. Let's get the final results in our Todd Cantwell poll. And then I'm going to put a new poll up in the thing. So the final results in the Todd Cantwell poll, 55% of you want to keep Todd, 45% of you want to sell Todd. Fair enough. Fair enough. Okay. So let's get our next poll up and talk about our next topic. So our next topic is going to be, we're going to talk about Cyriel Dessers. Okay. So rumor has it that new poll up, guys, please vote in the new poll. Rumor has it that Dessers is not traveling with the squad on Monday to brilliant point here, by the way, from Mr. Gucci. No good right winger since Daniel Candias, whatever he's called. That makes me laugh, buddy. Yeah, no. So yeah, we haven't had a good right winger since Candias. Yeah, I agree with you on that. We do need to bring in it, and I think Cortez can play there. I mean, my dream scenario, Mr. Gucci, is Cortez on the left and Seema on the right, and then they interchange during the game. They swap positions during the game. That's my dream scenario. The only YouTuber that values fans' opinions and not just paying fans. Agreed. Look, I've always said this. I agree. I absolutely 100%. Value your opinion as much as mine. You don't have to pay me money to get that opinion. Most of the goals we have conceded have come from the right-hand side. They have, Stephen, 100%. That's why the right-hand side needs that rebuild. CJ says, Dessers is a lovely guy, but his wage is too high for a spare striker. He's on £27,000 a week, guys. £27,000 a week Dessers is on. Cortez was brought in as a right winger. He only played the left because Seema got injured. Yeah, he can play both sides, William. He is a right winger. He can play left as well. He is a very, very good player. A very talented player. So yeah, I agree. But what I would love to see, William, is the interchanging of positions between the two of them. I'd love to see Cortez play right, Seema play left, Seema go right, Cortez go left, and cause difficulties to team. Fluidity, flexibility causes problems when you're defending. It genuinely does. One of the things you try and teach your front three or your front four, whatever it is to change position, to move, to constantly be in a fluid state of movement. Because if you look at the team, if you look at the Liverpool team, for example, that won the title, Salah, Firmino, You know, those types of players, they were constantly moving. They never stayed in one place. They were never held down. Firmino never stayed in the middle. Salah never stayed left. You know, they moved everywhere and they caused defensive problems. And that's what you need. You need a fluidity. You need a movement to the team. What have we got? Stuart says, Dessers goals this season, but let's be honest, he is not good enough to be a starter and his stock is never going to be higher. Cash in now. If we had a Sterling at right back and McCousin at right wing, then Celtic wouldn't have it as easy against us this season. Agree. I 100% agree with that. Or even Cortez at the right, Seamer at the right. I think all of those would be better bets than playing Tav and Sterling there. William says, Dessers was one of the only players who'd done anything last season. Him, Tav and Seamer, only players who scored goals, and people want to keep Cantwell over Dessers is nuts. Would you go to war with Todd? Good question. Right, look. Let's deal with the whole Cyriel Dessers debate, shall we? Cyriel Dessers, right? Dessers he scored 22 goals last season, right? Okay, 13 of those came in the Premiership, 3 came in the post split, so 16 in the league. Didn't score 20 goals in the league. Fail for me. You know, if you're going to win the league, you have to have a striker that scores 20 goals in the league, minimum. He scored 1 goal in Europe. Okay, 1 goal in Europe. And one of the reasons why I think we lost to Benfica in that game was not because they were massively better than us, was the fact we didn't take chances. We didn't put the ball in the back of the net when chances came to us. We didn't have a clinical finisher. Dessers is not a clinical finisher. Dessers missed 28 big chances last season. 4 against Hearts that led to a 3-3 draw. 2 against Ross County that led to us losing. The one at Parkhead where he has 18 million touches when 2 would do. And he scores that goal. That game finishes differently. I really believe that. He can't stay on side. He genuinely has less of an understanding of the offside rule than Fashion Sakala and Ted Lasso. He really genuinely does. So that is my major worry for him. Now, if it's true that people are offering him £6 million for Dessers, that's the rumor. That's the story. That there's 2 clubs offering 6 million. 2. He's 29 years old. He isn't going to get any better. You know, once you hit 30 in football terms, and this is really sad for me, I'm 46, and this is really worrying for me. Once you hit 30 in footballing terms, you're kind of finished. Well, not finished. Your career starts to go down. You know, there's the odd exception to the rule. Leo Messi, for example, who's, I don't know what he is, 35, 36, and is still brilliant. I mean, we saw Ronaldo. Ronaldo, for me, has been the worst player in the Euros. He was fucking appalling again last night. Absolutely appalling. You know, he's over 30. Your body slows down. You just don't, you're not the same player. And if we can get 6 million for him now, then that's a great move. Holding on to him for 1 more season and probably not using him as a starting striker means his value is going to depreciate. He's going to be worth less money in 12 months' time. We're not probably going to get the 4.5 million back that we paid for him. So for me, we're at the right point to sell. My one concern is if we are going to sell him, that leaves us with Danilo, Igman, Lovelace, possibly Josh Gentles, possibly Archie Stevens, who can play up top. You know, we still, for me, therefore, need to go and get at least 1, maybe 2 experienced strikers. I mean, guys who are clinically proven at the top level, who can come in, hit the ground running from day one, and look like a goal threat from day one. And I'm not talking about world-class strikers, because we ain't going to get a world-class striker, because you're looking at 80, 90 million pounds for them. Okay? I'm talking about a good striker, one that's between 5 and 10 million. That's what we need to be looking at, in my opinion. Stuart says, don't think I can watch another season of Tav's bottle goes every time he comes up against Maida. Very average player. Maida is an average player as well. We've got Alex doesn't like, not so keen on McCausland there. Just remember, Dessers was the only striker we had. He was, Stephen. He was the only striker we had. What have we got? William, we're not doubting Dessers' effort, just he's not the man to lead Rangers up front. Is Dessers' first season, how many players go and score 20 goals, 2 goals in a season? Yeah, but William, it was 22 goals. It should have been 40. It should have been at least 40. How many chances did he miss? The guy is not good enough for Rangers. He only scored 16 league goals. Not good enough if you're going to win the league. I honestly believe that Seamer would have been our top scorer had he stayed fit all season. Allegedly, Seamer is pushing to come back to us, and Brighton says no, he's going to stay and sign a pre-contract with us in January, but hope he comes in this window. I hope he does. Dessers is an enigma who misses chance after chance. He has to go for me, says David. I agree, David. William says, Dessers wasn't brought in as a first-choice striker. He has to do it all on his own last season. But, William, the thing I'd say is if he wasn't brought in as a first-choice striker, why are you paying him wages that a first-choice striker would get? He's on 27 grand a week. You know, you don't pay a backup striker 27 grand a week. You don't pay someone 27 grand a week to sit on the bench. That's the thing. That's anything I'd say about that comment. How many did Dessers miss, mate? My problem is he's invisible in the old firms. We need players that are going to beat that mob to win this league. Stuart, spot on. 100% agree with you on that one. 100% Stuart. David says, our club wasted so much money last year. The experience we signed after the recoup, 7 million back for Lammers and Dessers. Hopefully, it'll be more, David. Hopefully, if we can get, say, 2.5 for Lammers, 6 million for Dessers, that's 8.5 million back. Grove Scotland says Dessers is painful to watch. Stuart Dessers scored 2 goals in all firm games. One was chipped off, and he set up another one for Roof that got chopped off as well. Fair enough, William, but how many of those goals actually mattered? Miovski for 8 million is a good price. The only thing I'd say at that, Alex, is I don't think Aberdeen would sell to us for 8 million. I think they'd want closer to 10 because it's us. Our board was need to learn to sell players when their stock is at its highest and stop letting players walk for free. Stuart, brilliant point. And that's what I'm saying about Dessers. We need to sell him now when we can get a premium price for him, not in 12 months' time when his value will be massively decreased. Was Shanks on 7 grand a week? I think he was on about that 7 grand a week that season. I understand that Dessers scored 22 goals, but football is not a number and stats game, says Harris. True. Because him and Danilo were brought in to rotate between the striker position, that's not hard to understand. No, I know it wasn't, but Danilo, I think, would have started the vast majority of games, William. I genuinely do. William, I admire your passion that's sticking behind your man Dessers. You're not going to convince me. I think he's shit. I don't think he's a Rangers class player, but we're all entitled to our own opinion. That's what I've always said. I wonder how Danilo performed this season, says Alex. Yeah, great point, Alex. The thing is, Danilo, look, I think Danilo was really unfortunate for me. You know, the fact that he obviously got injured. The injuries were not his fault. I mean, the 2 injuries that he got, one was his face was smashed in by a St Johnstone hammer thrower. The other injury, obviously, was a bad tackle by a Hearts player. So it's not a muscular injury. It's not a weakness injury there. It's a fact that someone took him out, basically. I think it's too soon to people say, oh, well, he missed sitters. Yeah, but I do think it's too soon to kind of put any comment on it. What sort of run did Danilo have in the team? When did he ever play a consistent number of games last season? He didn't because of injury. So I think we've got to see this season that hopefully he stays fit. Hopefully no one kicks him to death and we get a chance to see him, you know. And look, he scored crucial goals at times last season. That Hearts one, for example, Ibrox, the header in the 90-something minute to win the game. This guy's got ice in his veins. I honestly believe he could be a top player for us. YouTube user says, sadly, no Scottish club will give us a player without a price increase. Agreed. Miovski, 8 million to Rangers, 4 million to the Mankey mob with the Sheep's mentality. Trying Scotsman, I would say 10 million. They're going to want at least 10 from us for Miovski, I honestly think. We are quoted as being ready to offer 5.1 million for Rachmani and have already agreed terms with the boy. Funny, that's the price we are looking for Dessers. Slavia Prague have been pissing about. Well, I hope there's some truth in that, Alan. Like I said, I heard that he was going to Slavia Prague for less than we offered for them. I think it was 2.5 Slavia were paying. I'll be honest, I'll be looking forward to seeing. Yeah, he's a good player. He's a good player, and I'll look forward to seeing him as well. AC Milan don't keep and want to keep shit players. Face smashed in, still wanted to play on. Love that from Danilo. Dessers should be sold. He's not good enough, says Stephen. I agree on that point. Ewan says Danilo is chomping at the bit too to get back on the park to show what he's got. Yeah. Gary, good morning. Morning from Gary is a top Rangers fan, lives in Florida. It is about just coming up for 7 o'clock in the morning in Florida. So morning, Gary. How you doing, buddy? Hope you're doing good. Hope Florida's nice. I bet Florida's a hell of a lot warmer than it is here in England. Right, guys. Look, that's pretty. So I'm sorry, that's gonna have to be it for this morning, as I need to get myself sorted. I need to be at work in half an hour. Thank you very much for those of you who tuned in this morning, guys. As always, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you. Lovely to get your opinions. Thank you very much. Let's just close the vote that is currently ongoing. The vote that is currently ongoing is the Dessers vote. And we're going to close that vote now. Result, it looks very landslide, Labour. So what's the vote? The vote is Dessers. 78% of you say sell. 21% of you say keep. So the vast majority of you want Dessers sold. Yeah, I've got to go as well, mate. Alex, I've got to go as well. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for taking part. As always, guys, on the way out, 2 things I ask of you. Number 1, please smash that like. And number 2, always remember, never forget.